to me, the challenge, even for a opposition like us, is to convince them that, in fact, what they have, what was given to them for the last 50 years is just peanuts. And that's our challenge, and that's a problem in this whole challenge before us, because these are poor, simple people, and when they are given just a little bit better than what they have, they are satisfied. But I think the challenge is to tell them, look, you just given peanuts. You should be given more than that. And how can we do that? And we're trying, in fact, and I've suggested this, to compare what we have in Semenanjung, to compare what had been given to the city, the towns, as compared to the rural areas of Sabah and Sarawak. For example, schools, hospitals, roads, and I've been saying that, look, unfortunately, our people, even given on a scale of 1 to 10, our roads is given not the top class, but I said it's the 9th or 7th or 8th class of roads, and we're happy with that, but they have not seen first, second class kind of roads.
But then you see Ibans, they go berjalai. Yeah, and when they berjalai, they go far away to look for work.
That's right.
Now when they come back, do they not tell their people, look, this is what you could have?
That is one of the things that I urge and promote our Dayaks berjalai guys, including those who have been working in Semenanjung for many years. And in the last state election, I even made that call for them, if not able to come back and vote, at least call the parents, call the relatives back at home and tell them, look, vote for a change. Things are changing in Semenanjung, things are different in the town, in the cities, and try to convince our parents to vote for a change. And as you have suggested, I think that is one alternative to bring the change. And I believe some are doing it. And I know some parents had changed their mindset. Even before 2011, I know that a few, including Tua Kampungs, headmen, after they were brought to Kuala Lumpur by their children, they come back, they changed totally.
Yeah. Is the main influence by the Tuai Kampung?
Yes, in the Ibans community, Tua Kampung is very, very influential.
Yeah.
So his decision can have a great repercussion on how they vote at the end of the day, but not in my area, for example, in the Orang Ulu Bawangs.
Yeah.
In fact, they're not really bothered with them. In fact, the credibility has been challenged now, tarnished. Now, those are the alternatives and means of how to get them changing their minds. But having discussed all this, it's not all lost. In fact, for the last 5 years or so, since I joined Pakatan, there has been improvement in the votes from the rural areas, and there has been, except that it's not enough to tip the balance at the door. For example, in my area, I stood for the 4th time, 2011, and I see the change in the last 3 election I went in. From 2,300, my loss went down to 1,200. It became 475. Then I won just by 473 votes the 4th time. So what does it mean? It means there is improvement, and change take a long time. And if you take my example, 1991, the first I stood, and I won in 2011. It took the Lun Bawangs 20 years to change their mindset. And the problem again is this: you can talk on all these problems, and that's why we talk about native rights problem, we talk corruption, talk about all the problems of the government. If it doesn't affect them personally, they are not bothered. And that is the problem, Mariam. It is the problem with every one of us.
That's almost like a selfish point of view.
Yeah, yes, but that's them, and even I give you illustration on the native land issue. I thought that is very important, but when you tell them about problems in Lundu, in Kenawit, in Kapit, to those people in the Baram, in the Rajang area, if they are not affected, they think this is just, you don't care, it's just a story. Then when they are affected, then they realize, and it's too late. And that happens even after 2011, you know. And 2011, these guys voted for Bersih Nasional. After 2011, then their land were affected. Only then they realize, you see.
Okay, so they realized then after the event.
Yeah.
Now, you got GE14 coming up.
Yes.
Will they or won't they?
Those who are affected, they will vote against Bersih Nasional. They will vote against the policies that is not good for them. Even in Limbang, I noticed the places I lost in Limbang, but I look at all the places I win, and there are the places where the real problem happen, and I believe that this one would stay put, and these are the ones that have been transformed as well.
Just now you were saying about people going berjalai in Semenanjung. You don't have to go that far to see change. You can go to places like Miri, Bintulu, where the disparity between the very rich and the very poor, they're living in the slums, or at least when I was there in the 80s, 90s. I mean, I don't know whether it's still happening, but do people still not see that such an imbalance of wealth?
Yeah, I think that is, to them, that probably would be a bit too high for them to comprehend, understand, you know. Again, they are going down to the very basic, and again, the longhouse people are very concerned as to bread and butter issue. You know, if I can earn a bit for this day. That's why the issue of paying them 50 ringgit, you know, 100 ringgit, what more to say 200 ringgit every election. To them, this is a blessing. Why is a blessing? Because if you understand the lifestyle, you know, 50 ringgit or 100 ringgit would be probably a 6 months budget. What do they need? They need very basic thing: sugar, salt, ajinomoto, and that's it. I mean, vegetable they can get from jungle or something, rice.
But then the jungles are being cut down and made into oil palms and or score or industrial areas.
Exactly. But then, as I've said, going back to the first point I had, if you are not affected, they don't believe it. Only when they are personally affected, then they would believe that. But of course, there are others who believe it. There are others who are dealing with. We have workshop, you know, and we have bringing people to share with them of their own problems and how they're affected. Yes, by that they would believe. So, I believe that it takes time in that sense, but whatever it is, the message must be brought down to them. And of course, the other thing is the challenge. When you do that, and every day they would watch the television. Television have a different message, you know. It is counter to what we're saying. Second, our own people from the government, the YBs, for example, the ministers, for example, they come in and they tell them otherwise. And of course, they're in a dilemma then, you know, who to believe. And it is the same with all issues, including the ally issues, religious freedom, you know. And when we are faced with that 10-point solution kind of thing, some of us say no, then the people come in and say, oh, it's good, it's perfect, it is resolved. So that's the challenge again in the longhouse. We are trying our very best, but then come the ministers, come our own people who are considered to be our leaders, and they say that we are, you know, lying to the people. So they are in a dilemma, so they have to make a choice. So that's the situation in the longhouse.
But it's something you have to overcome.
Indeed. There is no two ways about it. I think the message must go down to the ground, and that's why we believed the assistance from, for example, Radio Free Sarawak, which had been very kind to us in helping us to disseminate our message to the ground, is very, very, very effective. But unfortunately, we have only one Radio Free Sarawak, and whereas the government has RTM with fierce kind of channels that bring in, and television as well.
So what other help do you think you would need from normal people to help you spread the message?
You have to assist us in bring the message. There are other NGOs that are helping us getting into the rural areas. They are having workshop on the social problems, for example, land issues, the dam issues, and get in touch with these NGOs, because they are doing a great job for our people, and bringing in the message, disseminate the message to the rural people. And as Radio Free Sarawak is very open at the moment, you can call them and share with them and send messages to the radios. That is one. Or perhaps you can even prepare videos, CDs, and and share your experience, or even advise your parents and our people in the Longhouse, and especially for Sarawakians and Sabahans who are living abroad, and advise them, and advise their parents in particular, and their relatives at home. Because I know they would say again, look, you guys are living outside Sarawak, what do you know, all this kind of thing. But then you can share your experience to this kind of.
But again, coming back to that selfish issue, they go abroad, they work outside of where they come from, they're living the good life, and they forget all their problems.
And exactly, and that would be going against them, in fact. But then you have to tell them the message. Look, we had experience living in both worlds, and we can make a decision. And that's the reason why you're living. That's the reason why you are now elsewhere. But we're trying to give back to the community. We're trying to assist the community to change their mindset and attitudes. I think, probably that would be the line of message that you have to bring.
If you had a message just for those Sarawakians stuck in the rural areas, what would your message to them be now?
I would urge them to examine our message, examine what we are telling them, and to really seriously consider weighing it out against what they are experiencing now. And we have been telling them to change the government. And to me, that is fundamental. We have not seen all the promises that they have promised us all these 50 years, in particular for Sabah and Sarawak. You talk about royalty rights, you talk about religious rights, you talk about protection of NCR rights, and you talk about development in schools and hospitals and road infrastructures. All this, for the last 50 years, we are still far behind. In fact, we are probably more than 10 years behind semenanjung. And that's the message we're trying to tell them. So since we have been with the Bersama National Government for the last 50 years, why don't you try Pakatan Raya and try us for a term? And that's our promise.
Perhaps you're not working hard enough to make them believe in you.
That probably be the case, and I think we are challenged and faced with the challenge of the medium and the finance to move on the ground and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So on our part, we are trying our very best to work with various people, as I've said, through the branch of the party, through the NGOs working together with us, through means of radio and all the kind of things, CDs and videos. We have done that. In fact, in 2011, we have produced 30,000 CDs to bring the message. And we found out that, in fact, in most of the villages, rural areas, they do have videos and run by generators, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. some people I talk to say, what has happened to the Iban spirit? Because during Rajaput time, you were all having wars here, there, and everywhere.
I think the
So-
problem,
What's happened to the fighting spirit? Where has it gone to?
Mariam, I think the problem lies in our leaders. I tell them very openly, I'm orang Ulu, I'm only Lumbawang, I'm 20,000. We are only 20,000 in Lawas. But a big problem is, we have Iban deputy chief ministers, we have cabinet ministers, we have Jas Masim, we have William Mawan, and the heads of the Bersih Communal parties within Sarawak, But look, what are they saying? They're saying Bersih Nasional is good, you see? And they are not telling the people the real problem on NCR land, for example. None of them spoke against the policies in the State Assembly. So I'm challenging the Ibans and the Bidayus. We have Bidayus everywhere in the government. And the problem is they are talking good about Bersih Nasional. And that's a problem. More of them on the government side. So I said, what is the use of supporting these ones when they are not speaking for your rights? That, I think, is the fundamental problem.